How do you find yourself again after experiencing a significant amount of trauma? Welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, Ty Guidance, and that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, with that being said, because there's no right or wrong way to heal yourself, always and only take what resonates. So if it doesn't apply, it's not for you. Don't force it, let it fly. As well as grab your pens, grab your paper, and be prepared to take notes. In this video, we're going to go over and discuss how to find ourselves again, as well as certain recommendations, reminders, disclaimers, and just elaborating on what that means to you and I. Starting off with the introduction and starting off with the topic, how do we find ourselves again? Well, number one, you have to realize that who you're meant to be, you will always be. And what I mean by that is we know who we are. Despite what we have been told, despite we have been shown, despite what we've experienced. When you are meant to be a specific person, when you are meant to do specific things, which everybody has their own path and everybody has their own destiny, you will become that person. It doesn't matter what distractions, it doesn't matter what people have said, it doesn't matter what people have done. If you are meant to be somewhere, if you're meant to do something, then you will. How do I know? Because we make choices every single day and we have a conscience. Now, if you are not in alignment with this video, it's not going to make sense to you, but it's making sense to you because you're watching it, as well as liking this video, engaging, turning on your post notifications so you're subscribed. But back to the video. You know who you are, and you know who you are based off of what you've experienced in your life. So rather you experience good things, bad things, positive or negative, over time you start to feel. And when you feel, you experience. And when you experience, you make decisions. This is something that I've experienced, and this is something that I want to continue to do, or this is something that I've experienced and it hurt my feelings. In order for you to figure out who you are again, you have to realize that you are entitled to like the things that you like. That's the first thing you need to be aware of. Whatever you want to like, you're allowed to like. So what I recommend when it comes to you finding yourself again, if you have been traumatized and maybe you forgot you needed this friendly reminder, is to figure out, what do you like? Figure out who you are. In order for you to figure out what you like and who you are so you can be reminded of who you once were, you have to be able to sit with yourself. And that's the second thing. When you go through a significant amount of trauma, you're not like everybody else. When you've been having to deal with confusion, corruption, chaos, dysfunction, PTSD, anxiety, and feeling depressed your entire life or for a significant amount of time, psychologically, it changes who you are. Your nervous system becomes irregulated and imbalanced. And until you go to a therapist, see a psychiatrist, you pray, you find God, you find the ancestors, take what resonates, leave the rest, or the universe, because I'm not here to force religious spirituality. You book a service with me, you find people to confide in him, you're going to continue to hold on to those memories of the negative energy, of the doubt, of the fear, and you're going to internalize it, and then you're going to start to suppress it, and then that's when you become paralyzed. That's when people become PTSD and have to start to experience those things. Like, just because you were surrounded by dysfunctional people doesn't make you dysfunctional. A lot of times this starts from our households. A lot of times it is generational. It does start with the people that we live with. Then it starts with the people you go to school with. Then it starts with the people you go to work with. Then it starts with the people you relate with or in relationships with. You have to realize that until you know who you are, what it is that you want to experience, what people say, what people do, what people send towards you, whether it's emotionally, physically, spiritually, psychologically, is not for you to internalize. A lot of times, like I said, we are surrounded by people, places, and things, and we feel like we have to do what they're doing. You don't have to. That's how you figure out who you are. That's when you remember, no, just because these people are doing these things and you don't want to do them, that doesn't make you a bad person. You have to be okay with having your own beliefs and having a mind of your own in order for you to figure out who you are after you've been traumatized. You have to be able to sit with yourself. You have to allow yourself to grieve, because a lot of times, even if, let's just say, you grew up in dysfunction at an early age and you've been traumatized at an early age and you're used to dysfunction at an early age, you still knew deep down inside what you wanted to do and what you didn't want to do. Rather, you had the resources or the tools or not. Children are aware. We know. Now, of course, were you able to express yourself? Were you able to be vulnerable? Maybe not. And that stems from, once again, knowing who you are. So just because you grew up in a household and maybe you weren't able to express yourself or they didn't allow you to be vulnerable, doesn't mean that you don't have emotions, doesn't mean that you don't know how to communicate, doesn't mean that you're not somebody that likes to talk about those things, doesn't mean that you're not empathetic. You have to realize that when it comes to you healing yourself from trauma, you have to want to figure out what you want to do and who you want to be. And that's the third thing. You have to decide that just because you grew up in dysfunction, or you grew up around people and they were low vibrational, or people try to manipulate you, or you've been abused, regardless of what it was, that you still want to be yourself. You're not going to be able to find yourself again if you allow what people have said and what done to you to affect or distort your whole image of yourself. And I'm speaking from experience. People who are miserable, people who are not happy with themselves, people who never got to be who they were, will try to make you feel bad about being who you are. And this is just your friendly reminder, you're not them. And that's okay. Just because you may not have grown up in the same amount of trauma or went through trials and tribulations as these people, doesn't make you a bad person. Like, I am somebody that grew up extremely fortunate. I'm not embarrassed or ashamed or feel bad about those things because it's a privilege. Because I know it's a privilege, I don't have to toot my own horn or make it seem like I'm better than other people. But it's like, just because people didn't grow up the same way as you doesn't mean they have to treat you a certain type of way. People can learn. If you didn't grow up fortunate, if you didn't grow up privileged, you don't have to be envious of people who have the things that you lack. You can learn from them. Now, of course, just because you're privileged, once again, doesn't mean that you just look down on people, because I was taught to never do that. But it's just like, people are people at the end of the day. Until people figure out who they want to be and they sit with themselves and they realize what they're doing and wanting to do better, you're not going to be able to heal yourself. You're going to allow what people have said and done to you to affect you permanently. And that's why people are suffering. That's why a lot of people have PTSD or ADHD and all these labels and these titles and attachments. It is unfortunate, yes, people have been traumatized at an early age, but until people talk about it, like myself, this is why I created this platform, until you comment in the comment sections what has happened to you, how it's made you feel, and you talk about it, it's going to continue to happen. It's not going to change. And the people who people think have all these powers and all these authorities are going to continue to abuse people because nobody's willing to address it. Nobody's willing to acknowledge it. Nobody's willing to say, you know what, I was touched on inappropriately by a family member at an early age and it made me feel some type of way, but that doesn't mean that I have to be a pedophile or I have to continue to touch people and hurt people. You have to be able to say certain things like that. You can't be embarrassed or ashamed when you're trying to figure out who you are. What you like is what you like. What you don't like, you don't have to. Like I said, is my videos for everybody in the world? It could be. Is it for a specific group of people? Yes, you're one of these people. Like, now is not the time. It's the end of 2025. It's December 16th as I'm recording this. Moving forward, you need to know who you are. Because what happens is when you forget who you are and you don't live in your purpose, you block blessings. You delay your satisfaction, you delay opportunities. And I'm speaking from experience. So many people, places, and things who were not able to be themselves thought they were going to come into my life and move things, and they had to know, like, you can't mess with somebody, you can't manipulate somebody, you can't take advantage of somebody, you can't play in somebody's face who knows who they are and who knows who you are. Because when you are confident, when you are loving, when you have been privileged, when you know certain things at an early age that most people don't, you know that. And honestly, it's embarrassing and it's disrespectful to the people that go out their way to try to finesse. People don't have to manipulate people in order to be successful or in order to have things. Like, it should be no reason for the corruption and the chaos. Like, people could still live their lives. People could still have, people in placements and certain things like that. But it's just like, be for real. When you are finding yourself again, you need to figure out what you've had to experience. And that's the fourth or third thing. I lost count. When you're finding yourself again, I need you to figure out, what did you see? What did you experience? And I need you to take mental note of it. And I need you to elaborate. I need you to talk about it. As you're elaborating, and once you're realizing what you saw, what you exposed, what you've been exposed to, whether it was negative or positive, I need you to make a decision. Is this something I want to continue to watch? Is this something I want to continue to engage in? Is this something I want to continue to condone? Or do I need to leave it alone? Do I need to talk about how it made me feel and figure out solutions to overcome it? Because if you allow people and places and things who are not you to make you do things that you don't want to do, you will be manipulated. You will not be able to think for yourself. You will continue to feel negative and bad about yourself. When you know you have good energy, when you know you're not out here hurting and harming people, you know you've done right by people, Why would you internalize their negative energy? Like, so many people want you to be who they are. And that's what people call destiny swapping. Like, people who are envious and dumb, because let's be for real, I'm talking about the people who are aware of their negative energy and choose to be negative, like willfully ignorant. You're dumb. People that are dumb enough to sit here and think they can control people and manipulate people, the only way people would fall for those traps is if they didn't know who they were. And this is why you need to know who you are. You need to know who you are before somebody else tries to tell you who you are and who you're not. And when people say certain things to you, it doesn't move you. All the rumors, all the lies, all the gossips that people have said about me, I'm not going to respect. First of all, you don't have the audacity to say it to my face. And you have to realize that if nobody's able to come to you as a grown adult and let you know what they dislike about you and they're not coming up with a solution, who the cares? Everyone has opinions. If you don't have enough respect to say, you know what, Ty Guidance, I didn't like this about you. This is how I felt. Why should I value what you say and do? You don't even have enough respect to say it to that person. So you have to realize that whatever people say about you doesn't mean that it's true. All the lies, all the rumors, like I said, all the times that the people that I went to school with, people I work with, people that try to pursue me, people in my family, like, I will never respect you. I want you to know that, ever. Not in this life, not in the afterlife, not in the life before, or eternally, ever. I look at you with disgust. It's degrading. People want to sit here and call you names. You know you're not those things. And not just that, people aren't you. A lot of times when people had to like make up rumors and do all this stuff behind my back, that's what they were doing. That's how they live. The people saying, oh, she doesn't have this, she doesn't have that, she looks like this. You don't look any better. You're not in a better position. All these people that felt the need to talk about, none of you people are doing better. None of you people are in a better position, because if you were, which they weren't, when it comes to people talking negatively about you, they wouldn't talk about you. I've never met an entrepreneur who had trillions and millions and billions in their dollars who's worried about people not having money. If you have money, why does it matter if people are poor or broke to you? Why does that matter? If you have a roof over your head and someone is homeless, how does that affect you? Why do you need to talk down on them? If you have gas and you have groceries and you have insurance and you could go to the doctors and the dentist with no worries and cares, why do you feel the need to make fun of people who don't have those things? These people are not happy. And I need you to know that just because people have cars and monies and insurance and community doesn't mean they're in tune with themselves. And that's what this goes back to at the end of the day. They don't know who they are. When you know who you are, you don't care about people talking about how you look. I don't care if you don't like how my hair looks. I don't care if you don't like my eyebrows. Don't look at me. Close your eyes. Look at somebody else. Don't compare me to anybody else, because nobody looks like me and nobody could look like me. That's the same thing with you. They don't, who cares? When you know who you are, you don't need to find yourself again. So when you are going through trauma, you need to learn the lessons, because that's what it is. Until you learn that you can't associate yourself with everybody, until you realize that everyone's not going to have your best interest, until you genuinely know who you are and you know where you're supposed to be, and you become intentional about who you surround yourself with, how much time, energy, and effort you're putting into people, places, and things, you don't have to worry about that. I'm telling you from experience. Once I clocked and peeped that certain people were not meant to be around me and I'm not meant to be around them, lemon peasy, easy squeezy. It becomes very simple. It becomes very clear, and it becomes very intentional. You're not going to have to deal with that. And when people are outside of the club, because that's what it is. It's always been people outside of the club who are not even meant to be around me, but only had to be around me because I was in, okay? Because sometimes you are going to go through certain things. Sometimes it's going to be out of your control, which we'll talk about in a different video. You do what you need to do, and you keep it moving. You let them know, yeah, we're not the same. We never will be. Know who you are. Take time to figure out who you are. So when you're watching this video, let me know in the comment section, what do you like? What do you don't like? Stand on it. The people that are for you, your community, the people that are meant to be there for you are going to appreciate you, are going to respect you, are not going to be mad that you have boundaries, are not going to be upset that you don't like certain things. Are you always going to agree and like what everybody says and does? No. But if people want to be with you, people genuinely have your best interest, they'll be able to compromise. They'll be able to accept that. They'll be able to meet you where they are. They'll be able to work with you. Anybody who's constantly trying to challenge you, go against you, who've already made up in their mind, they want to feel some type of way, make them stand on it. And that's why me personally, I don't respond to negativity, not in the social media, not in real life, because it's like, if you already made up in your mind that you don't like what I'm saying, you don't think it's possible, you don't agree with how I believe, or I'm this and I'm that, I'm not going back and forth with you, and I'm not trying to convince you. When people don't know who they are, they will sit here and try to have you jump through these hurdles. I said what I said, and I said it in the tone that I did. People be like, oh, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. It doesn't matter, because you know why? They said it in the tone that they did, which means that's how they felt. And that's the problem. When you're not honest, when you're not direct, when you don't really live a certain type of life, you feel triggered. You let them be triggered by themselves. I'm your rich auntie in real life. I don't play them games. I'm about to be 29 in 2026. I don't have time. I'm a mental health specialist who's really your favorite rich auntie. If you know, you know. And as a rich auntie, as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, as a boss, that's the energy that we're carrying. Okay? They're either going to like it or they don't. Tell them to pick a side. But you're not going to sit here and forget who you are and not like what you like because it makes other people uncomfortable. They don't need to be around you. So if you like to sit here and you like watching Naruto, you like watching anime, and people want to call you a nerd, let them be by themselves. Watch what you watch. Like I said, as long as you guys are not hurting yourself, harming yourself, causing fear, disruption, corruption, or chaos or division, let people feel how they want to feel. Because at the end of the day, you're not responsible for anybody other than yourself. You don't need to forget what you like and who you are just because you've been surrounded by people who weren't sure of themselves. And I'm telling you guys from experience, once you realize that you're not in alignment with somebody, you need to separate yourself. Because the longer you stay in situations, whether it's family, friends, coworkers, whoever it is, the longer you will pick up on that energy. I'm not going to forget who I am. I know who I was. I've always known who I was. And that's the same thing with you. And nobody, I don't care what nobody says, because it's literally external. If you are really intuitive and connected as you say you are, it's outside of you. It's literally like, you have to realize you have a shield. For those of you who are really connected and getting what I'm saying, I'm speaking in code, there's a shield. It doesn't matter what anybody says or does. It doesn't matter what anybody says or does. It doesn't matter what anybody throws at you. You have a shield. When you know who you are, nobody can come between. Okay? So let me know what you guys think. I need you to figure out what you like, what you don't like, and let me know. What do we like? What do we don't like? And if you don't like something and you're not able to educate people or come up with a solution, it's just an opinion. So keep it to yourself. Be respectful. That's not hard to do. All negative and disrespectful energy will not be tolerated. Thank you guys for watching this video all the way to the end. I love you guys. We're turning up. This is the energy that we're having in 2026. So if you can't get with it, then you need to get lost. Because you don't need to not know who you are. You don't need to not be who you are just because it makes other people. They shouldn't be around you. If you want to be, I'm happy, I'm positive, I want to talk about positivity and healing and being abundant and how we don't have to work hard and how healing is a choice and how it's not a hard thing to be a good person. And people want to say, oh, that's not, you don't need to be here. Like, go where you're invited. That's the problem. People are so, like, worried about everything else. All that time, energy, and effort that you put, like, people put into worrying about people that have nothing to do with them. Figure out who you are so you could go where you're welcome. There are communities for you. If you don't want to be healing and positivity and have real confidence, go with the people who don't want to be like that. Because it's like, when you guys go out your way to try to disturb other people's peace, it's only going to bring you your demise. I'm telling you guys from experience. So you don't have to worry about people trying to manipulate you or gaslight you once you realize you're not meant to be there. And sometimes you're not gonna meant to be around certain people, places, and things. You need to start holding yourself accountable, and you need to stand on what it is that you like, and whatever you like, focus on it. Everything else, it doesn't matter. It's literally a distraction and unnecessary at this point. So I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. Thank you for turning on your post notifications and subscribing. Thank you for commenting down below, as well as follow me on all my social media platforms. I think I've said that 3 times already. Follow me on Instagram and on TikTok for the rest of December and for the rest of 2025. I will be going live talking about this. Let me know what you guys want to talk about, and yeah, that's how you find yourself. Knowing who you are, knowing what you like, standing on it, and whoever doesn't like it, they don't have to. Because guess what? You didn't ask. That's what people fit to realize. Oh, I don't like her here. I don't like her videos. I don't like... I didn't ask you to. You're choosing to be here. So be intentional. If you want to watch, you'll watch. If you want a burger, then you'll what? Eat a burger. If you want a french fry, then you'll eat a french fry. Okay? Love you. Bye.